Sweden, very peaceful place, quite a wonderful country actually. Social democracy, everyone being kind and compassionate. A suicide bombing. A man tries to kill people going Christmas shopping. What an evil thing to do, Christmas shopping, eh? This time of year in particular. Women, children, mothers with their babies, ordinary people just doing their shopping, and he wanted to send nails into their flesh, ripping them apart. He was, do you need to be told, a Lutheran. Not sure if it was evangelical Lutheran or Missouri Synod, but he was a Lutheran and... Oh, hold on. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I've just been told he wasn't a Lutheran. I'm surprised he was a Muslim. I had no idea. He was a Muslim, and he tried to kill innocent people. Now, I'm not standing here to say to you, all Muslims behave like this, because that will be silly and wrong and malicious. I am saying that the vast majority of people who've tried to become suicide bombers and murder the innocent in the name of some cause or other have been motivated by, provoked by, produced by the Islamic faith. I'm not saying that. They're telling me that. This man was educated, if you can call it an education, in Luton, Bedfordshire. Free, heavily funded public education in the UK, healthcare, welfare, protection, civil liberties, freedom of religion. What has he got to complain about? Iraq, Afghanistan? Fine. Vote for politicians who oppose those particular wars. But you murder innocent people in the name of your religion, in the name of freedom? Once again, wasn't the Lutherans? Michael Coren Show. The religion of peace. Now, whenever we talk about issues of terrorist attacks, suicide bombings and Islam, there's always this proviso that has to be given. Not all Muslims are suicide bombers. I find that offensive that we even have to say that, because only a moron would think otherwise. I mean, how many Muslims do we all know? How many people I have on this show who are Muslim? It's ridiculous to even assume anything approaching that. However, suicide bombing is not exclusively but overwhelmingly Islamic, and we've just had in Sweden, and this case has to be discussed. Sweden, which is a country which embraces pluralism, protection for minorities. In Malmö, the third largest city in Sweden, half the Jewish community has left because they are so tired of Islamic attacks and anti-Semitism and so on. So Islam is not persecuted in Sweden. The man who committed the suicide bombing was trying to murder overwhelmingly Christmas shoppers, women doing the shopping, a lot of them, for Christmas. And he was educated in the UK, free education and healthcare and all that sort of thing. And just one more thing, this comes at a time when there's a picture that has come out of the bus bombings in London showing 4 angels, or 4 people who committed the bombing, angels, yes, who committed the bombing, and the grotesque figures are going to, I assume, to hell. They're apparently the victims of the bombing. Tarek, this is bizarre.
No one's confronting them, Michael. No one. Just today, the Muslim Canadian Congress came out saying that this is Nazism, and Islamofascism has to be fought with the same vigor, ideologically, before anything else. And the Swedish bomber is not the first one. The Portland, Oregon Christmas bomber had this intention to go to a place where people were celebrating Christmas and to kill himself. There's another bomber who was caught in, I think, New York. I think he's a Latino convert to Islam who also wanted to kill. The problem is that there are not enough people in the intelligentsia or people on the center-left politics who are willing to say, this is fascism, we are not going to tolerate it, and we're not going to give credence or validity to those who represent the Jamaat Islami from India, Pakistan, or the Muslim Brotherhood in Canada. The right, on the other hand, is correct, but their track record on immigration, on racism, is so bad that any time the right wing or the conservative elements attack this fascism, that's exactly what these Islamists want.
Conservatives aren't, though, are they? In Sweden, the Christian Democrats, in Britain, the Tories, they're very lukewarm on these issues. The hard right are responding, but of course they are not legitimate.
I'm talking of North America. This will be fought and won in the United States of America. This is going to be won
in Canada. Is this an issue in Canada?
Michael, when I said on to Michael Enright on CBC that every high school has a Muslim Brotherhood unit, I was told I was McCarthy. 2 weeks later...
By Michael Enright?
Yes.
Well, he's not... I don't think he's a very serious figure.
Well, I'm saying that it was as if I was jumped in the middle of an interview, but 2 weeks later, we get a report done by McGill University where groups of Muslims themselves identified that we have been brainwashed into hating the West.
Mackay, you have a great deal of influence and responsibility, the largest talk radio station perhaps in the country. When it comes to these issues, do you allow complete freedom of expression?
I hope so. I think that it's never hit as close to home. A story like this has seemed very far away, always in the past. And I think my take on this is probably rather pedestrian in that when I read the story this morning just before our early morning show meeting, it took me aback because I mean, I could have read about this story in any other part of the world and it wouldn't have fazed me. But the fact that it is in a part of the world that we associate with, or I can understand the mentality of so much, I think that there's something that sort of shakes you a bit. And I think when an event like this takes place in a country like Sweden, it changes the perspective not only in talk radio but of any citizen who reads about it.
Well, two of the issues that he mentioned apparently, but before the explosion, of course, one was Swedish troops in Afghanistan, which is hardly a major issue, but the other one was Lars Vilks, who we had on the show, who drew a cartoon, and it was of Muhammad on the body of a pig. Now, and he's also given some lectures. He's a relatively obscure figure, Lars Vilks, and he has been very anti-Christian in the past. He was also attacked because he dared to show a movie made by a Muslim woman about homophobia.
Michael, the problem is the very person who's upset about a cartoon is not upset in depicting Prophet Muhammad as a mass murderer. I mean, I'm shocked that after my book has been published, I've got more hate mail from Muslim clerics who say, "Who are you to say that Muhammad is not a mass murderer of Jews?" I'm absolutely astonished.
Well, they're not you're defending Muhammad against...
They are upset that I have taken away their legitimacy that they took to hate Jews, and now I've left them without the story.
David, Sweden is... I don't know if you've been there, but all of Scandinavia, but I'd say Sweden in particular is almost obsessed about being tolerant. There's guilt from being neutral during the Second World War, although they did take most of Denmark's Jews. The Jewish community, I mentioned Malmö, third largest city. It's only about 2,000 Jews. 1,000 of them have left because there are so many attacks by Muslims. There are Muslim quarters in Stockholm. Islam is a protected religion. There's a small right-wing party that got a little bit of the vote recently, but it's almost painfully liberal in Sweden. This is not a place where Muslims walk around in fear, but Jews do because of Muslim actions. This man educated in the UK. He's had everything the West can give to him, and his response is to try and murder people.
And that is the problem, being so tolerant that you have no backbone, you have no testicular fortitude to lay down the law. I like Tarek's first part of his analysis. When you look at the left wing, they are continually saying, how do we make things better to you? This is to the extremists. See, and this is the biggest problem,
And the
Michael.
Conservatives are any different?
Hold on a second. You see an uncanny honeymoon right now with the left wing and radical Islam. And it's perverse, because if you look at what radical Islam stands for and what the left stands for, you know, the left, it's about women's rights, gay rights, freedom of expression, freedom of the press, everything the radical Islamists despise. And yet it's always, what can we do to appease you? I've often said that to wake up Canadians, I wonder what it would take. Would it take a 9/11-like suicide bomber to fly the plane into the TD Centre and destroy those buildings?
Well, look what's happened in the UK. That there have been attacks in the UK, fatal attacks and attempted attacks, and Britain hasn't really changed.
Exactly, and this is my point.
And I don't think Sweden's going to change.
If Toronto had that kind of a 9/11 New York-style terrorist attack, Michael, the next day on CBC, you'd have the roundtable discussion with the usual suspects, and this would be the focus of the conversation. What have we done to instill such hatred in these people? That's the landscape of the situation now.
Sadly, there will be more discussion of this because I'm sure other incidents will occur.